Now let's talk about death probate.
Welcome to Barry's Bites. Please join our host, attorney and financial advisor Chris Barry.
Most people want to avoid probate upon death because it's costly. 3 to 5% of any assets typically get eaten up in costs. Also, it takes a lot of time. At the very least, in Michigan, it takes 3 months to go through the probate process. And then it's also public. Anyone can see what's going through probate. So how do we avoid probate? Well, upon death, by understanding how estate administration works. So first, we have joint ownership. So joint ownership is great for a married couple, but I would not recommend naming anyone else joint to your accounts. Because if you do name like a son or daughter joint to your bank account and they get a divorce, lawsuit, creditor action, bankruptcy, then that money could be lost. And I want you to be taken care of. I don't want to see that money going anywhere else. And then second, we have beneficiary designations. And beneficiary designations are basically a pillowcase of money approach, which could be a problem if you have young children, minor children, or even young adults, 18 to 25. Because I'm young enough to remember if I were to inherit 5,000, 50,000, or 500 when I was going to school, I would have been the coolest kid on campus, but that might have been my only year on campus, right? So most people don't want to rely on that outright distribution, not just because of the poor financial mismanagement, but also what happens if a child gets a divorce after inheriting this money? Where might half that money go? Or what happens if that child passes away? Where might all that money go? It might go to an in-law versus going down to your potential grandchildren. So that's where a lot of people look to trusts as a way to pass assets, because with a trust, you can leave things to your children or beneficiaries in such a way so that whatever they inherit, they have the opportunity to protect it from creditors. So they could be the trustee, they could decide how it's invested, they could receive all the income, but as long as they choose to keep it inside of the trust, it's protected from creditors, it's protected from divorces. And if you were to pass away, the money stays in the bloodline. Now, not all trusts do this. A lot of trusts say it goes all right to the kids at 25, 30, 35. All you're doing is launching a pillowcase of money at those beneficiaries. But if you set up the trust in the right way, where you build in what we call separate share trusts or legacy inheritance trust, then this money could be protected. But if an asset doesn't pass through joint ownership beneficiary designation trust, then it ends up going into probate. And most people want to avoid probate because, again, 3 to 5% of any assets going through probate get eaten up in costs. Also, it's time consuming. It takes at least 5 months to go through the probate process, and it's public. Now, what's the one thing that I didn't mention? A will, right? What about a last will and testament? Well, all the will does is gives instructions to the probate court. So if you want to avoid probate, don't rely upon a will. That's a big myth that a will avoids probate court. It does not. What the will does is gives instructions to the probate court. So if you're relying on a will-based estate plan, understand you're probably sending your loved one to probate court. And again, if you want to avoid probate, which is most people's at least baseline goal with probate, then please give our office a call at 844-885-4200 or reach out to us to book that 15-minute phone call to figure out if we can help you or not. Because again, we don't want to see things going into probate.